Welcome back to Capital Tonight. I'm Tim Boyum. Last month, Research Triangle Park companies unanimously voted to approve a new master plan to allow residential mixed-use developments for the first time in over 6 decades. Leadership says it's a culmination of half a decade of work, but there are questions over what comes next for the business hub as it gets ready for this big change. Talk more about the future of the area, joined by the Vice President of Planning and Public Policy for the RTP Foundation, Travis Crayton. Travis, good to see you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
We follow this RTP 2.0, now we're 3.0. What is the impetus behind all of this kind of blended? Because I think most people think of RTP as past as a lot of acreage of trees with companies kind of on these huge campuses. It's evolving, right?
It absolutely is, and that's really what RTP 3.0 is meant to do, allow RTP this natural progression and evolution of what an innovation district is in the 21st century. So our past is very much, like you said, Tim, large corporate campuses, research kind of in the woods, a little bit of air of mystery of what's going on out there. But the way people work, where talent wants to work and where businesses want to locate, that's really different today than it was when the park was founded back in the 50s, even when the park was expanding in the 90s. And so RTP 3.0 responds to that by allowing different types of environments to be built in the park, really in response to that changing way that people work and that changing way that innovation occurs in a modern economy.
Change is hard sometimes. Was this sort of an interesting process in that regard, or was it pretty simple, we need to do this?
It took us about 5 years to really work through all those details, and that is both a long time and a short time in the same way, if you think about it. It took a lot of work and a lot of coordination and collaboration with all of our stakeholders and partners. So that includes RTP landowners, RTP companies, our local government officials. Everybody was at the table from the very beginning back in late 2021, early 2022, when we started down this path. So I haven't tallied up all of the meetings that we had over 5 years, but we certainly exceeded 150, almost 200 meetings of just having conversations with people to figure out what the needs and interests are of all of our stakeholders and how RTP can respond to that.
We were talking off camera, but does a lot of this go back to sort of the COVID times and right after it, about how work just kind of changed?
That really was a key driver about why we undertook this process. So that was one key factor. Right in 2021, toward the end of that year, we were having conversations with companies as they began to process return to office. And so we just sat down with them and said, what's going on? What are you worried about? How can we be helpful? And we heard a lot of concerns about talent attraction and retention and what a modern workplace is. And so we took that and we said, we need to have a conversation about physical planning and physical environment. And it very much led into the RTP 3.0 process. The other piece of kind of activity that was occurring at that time was construction on our Hub RTP campus, which is our new downtown district in the park. That was finally really getting full steam ahead at 2021. And so we now have several completed buildings there. But for us, it was a real question that after a decade of work, we finally were creating that very first mixed-use district. What did that mean for the rest of the park outside of that just 100-acre mixed-use district? How can we expand that and think about the needs of the full 7,000 acres? So those two things together really led us into this process and the outcome that we have today.
And for folks that don't know this or are outside of the Triangle area, I think people thought, and RTP used to be a lot, these huge companies, IBM and whatnot, but that's changed too, right? And that's part of the reason why this mixed use is so important.
Absolutely. It's changed a lot in the past 25 years, and especially since about 2010. Historically, the park very much was a place where a large company would come, they would buy a lot of acreage, they would build a research campus, and they would do their research, advanced manufacturing, all those activities there. That's really changed a lot. Startups and small business is increasingly an important part of that innovation ecosystem. So we at the Research Triangle Foundation started the Frontier RTP campus back in 2014. That was really the first multi-tenant small business campus in the park. And when we made that first step, we've since seen other real estate investors come into the market and create more of those campuses for multi-tenant operations. And so that's increasingly become an important part of the mix. And so as we want to attract and retain those small businesses too, really where that spark of innovation can occur, we need more of these amenitized work environments that respond to workplace demand. And that's very much a part of the strategy.
How hard is this strategy to do? Because, and it's not, this is over years and years and years, but like, is it typically generational how these types of, work lifestyle things change? And how, because these are not, infrastructure changes are expensive and take a long time. So I imagine a lot of thought has to go into this. Is it generational a lot of times?
In a lot of ways it is, and I think you see that. When the park was founded in the 1950s, the design of the park with these research estates in the woods, that very natural environment, that was responding to what talent wanted at that point in time. That was very much in demand, and it matched the lifestyle of the era. That's changed over time, and so we have to change with it. And that's really become the role of the Research Triangle Foundation over the years. It's to respond to that, to monitor the interests of the park and make sure we are continually competing successfully for jobs, for talent in our region, and making us a top-tier destination. So it very much is generational. It does take a lot of work, but our role at the foundation really is to lead that coordination with our local government partners, with our utility providers, with our companies to make sure that we are continuing to meet the needs of all of those sectors and drive growth in our Research Triangle region.
Well, that's a quick question. I think people think they go there to go to work, and that's it. You go home. But for people that don't even work there, is part of this to invite the rest of the community and to enjoy these amenities as well?
It absolutely is. That's been a huge part of the RTP 3.0 vision. So yes, historically, unless you worked in the park, you didn't have a lot of reason to go there. In the future, we imagine the park as a place where people could live, whether you work in the park or not. It's a place you might come for dinner or a retail destination or to visit or to maybe have a recreation experience. The future of the park is very much all of those things. And that really aligns with meeting both the needs of our employees and our employers, but also the broader community. It creates a new node and destination in our greater region that we historically haven't had, and we're very excited about that opportunity.
Well, huge economic engine, not just for the Triangle, but for the whole state. So
absolutely.
Thank you for the update.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right.